Well, it's traditionally been the domain of American high schools and sporting events, but cheerleading is now one of this country's fastest growing sports.
Yay, Sonia. And if you think you know cheerleading, well, think again. Reporter Suze Massara went to the training and discovered there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Suze, there's no pom-poms. I'm disappointed.
I know. Look, we all love a pom-pom, but pardon me, it is tough out there. Competitive cheerleading as a sport is different to the cheerleading you see at a sports game.
Are we talking like bring it on cheerleading?
Yes, exactly. So flips in the air, twists, turns, and kids are loving it. In Australia, in 2013, it grew 40%, a further 32% in 2014, and the numbers have continued to climb. One of the biggest clubs is Queensland Cheer Elite, and I went to check it out.
You've seen them on the big screen and on the small screen. Now cheerleaders are coming to a club near you.
My favourite move is doing full twists, like tumbling.
10-year-old Georgette DiTrapani belongs to Queensland Cheer Elite, a cheerleading club which opened in Brisbane 5 years ago.
Where did you learn to tumble like that? That was amazing.
Well, the tumble coaches helped me a bit.
We have approximately 500 athletes, and we have at the moment 28 different teams, but then we also operate about 60 different tumble classes a week.
Shannon Lester and Emma Bart started the club after dabbling in the sport at university.
It was only one team at the time, so, you know, there were about 20 people in the team. And then it stayed like that for a few years, and then once we took it away from the university, or it became, I suppose, a more private club, that was when we could start to introduce younger people.
The growth of it has really surprised us, and every year we just kept getting more and more kids interested. Well, the histories of cheerleading are over 100 years old in America. But the all-star community, which is the competitive side of cheerleading, is only about 20 years old in America, and it's about 10 to 15 years old in Australia. So we are experiencing growth within our club, but the whole country is experiencing a similar rate of growth.
But if your idea of cheerleading is something like this, think again.
No, it's not like that at all. So I suppose the cheerleading that most people think of is not incredibly athletic. It's more crowd-based and performance-based, whereas what we do is, I suppose, athletic. There's strength involved.
Girls from 3 to 30 attend classes at the club, and they love it.
What do your friends think about the fact that you do cheerleading? Because it's not very common.
They don't really know like what it actually is. Like they just think it's like the pom-poms and stuff, but like they need to come to a club and actually see what it's about.
What do you think is the toughest thing about cheerleading?
I think the hardest thing is when you have a bad training and you've got to really like overcome it and come back the next day and really like start from scratch.
So when you say you have a bad training, does that mean like you've had a fall?
Yeah, just when like you're learning new skills, you know, something's just like a little harder than you're used to. You know, like you really have to be determined and push through it, and that's like the hardest thing, but it's also the best thing when you overcome it.
I get the feeling this would be a very empowering sport for girls. Do you notice big change in their confidence from when they start to when they finish?
I think so. I think, you know, a part of the sport that we love too is that it builds resilience, because everybody is relying on everybody else. It's not an individual sport. It's not who gets the best position or who can do this skill. It's how everybody can work together, because often there's 30 people on the mat at the one time. It doesn't feature one person.
And it's this kind of teamwork that saw Queensland Cheer Elite compete in the World Championships earlier this year.
Our girls came ninth, which we were incredibly excited because it was our very first time as a club being able to go over out of about 45 teams. But they were competing against girls who've grown up in this sport, whereas the girls in our team only maybe joined 3 or 4 years ago.
We got a taste of just how seriously Americans take cheerleading in the hit comedy Bring It On.
These are not spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers.
But it turns out our Aussie athletes are just as fierce in prepping for competition.
So we actually have choreographers who come over from the United States. For all of our competitive teams, we have people who just do this as a job. That's their job. They go and choreograph cheerleading routines.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's like typical across all of America.
5, 7, 8, 1.
So one of our goals is to try to mainstream cheerleading. So we would like a 7-year-old girl to be able to go home to her mum and say, I want to do cheerleading, and for the mum to know exactly what that is and what it entails. So just like a girl maybe now would think, I want to do netball, or I want to do dance, or I want to do gymnastics, we want cheerleading to be in that equation for girls.
Into it.
That looks like fun.